Spawned in, and let's have a look at where they've gone.
So we did change the system up a little bit for this game, just to make things a little more interesting. We turned the Earth planet into more of a water planet, so we'll get to see a lot more naval action. And it is one of two starting planets now, so it and the lava planet are primary starting positions, and it looks like our players actually spread out between those two planets pretty equitably.
Really good. So yeah, the lava planet seems to be very, very rich in metal. The economy system in Planetary Annihilation is a streaming economy. You have to build extractors on these metal extractor points here to extract metal. And this is a low-risk economy, so if you have got more coming in than you have going out, then you are able to build at 100% efficiency, as both teams are currently able to do here, you can see in the top left. However, if you start to spend more than you have coming in, you will run into a deficit, and you will start to construct slower and slower and slower. And that is a particularly favourite tactic of players to attack their opponent's economy to try and cripple their build speed. And in Planetary Annihilation, it is all about scale. The more you have, the better it is. More is better, pretty much without exception.
So did we show off the gas giant? That's one of the other new features we just implemented in the game.
Now this is the gas giant here. This does not actually have a surface layer at all. You cannot build and place units or structures on there. This is an orbital layer only planet. Players can send across orbital units and build large extraction mines which tap into the gas and produce metal and energy for their team.
So we are starting to see people scouting each other out, figuring out who else is on the planet with them, which means we should also start seeing some early engagements very soon.
This new Earth planet actually is particularly interesting. I'm not quite sure whether the players can traverse the shallows here. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. But you can in fact see an advanced naval factory already going up here. Within the game of Planetary Annihilation, you've got two tiers, the basic and advanced tiers. You can see here the basic naval factory is significantly smaller than the advanced, and once the players reach the advanced tier, they're able to produce more powerful economic and military units and structures. So,
over on the lava planet, we are already seeing a small buildup by Orange of units that will probably be making their way over, if I had to guess, to the less obstructed route to the southwest or southeast of them.
Well, they could go either way. At the moment, they're fairly equidistant. It depends very much on how well they're scouted. Scouting is incredibly important in the early game because it allows you to find out where indeed your opponent is. Sometimes, particularly with these multi-planet spawns like this, you can find yourself alone on a planet, which means you can pretty much continue expanding without hindrance, which is fantastic, of course, for your economy, and your teammates on the other planets who are fighting will appreciate the boost because they are able to produce more units. This is a game all about scale. More is better.
We already have orbital action going on. We're seeing a fabric going from the Orange team all the way to the moon. I'm guessing to get an early start on getting that planet ready for smashing.
Yes, indeed. What I'm going to do here is bring up the picture-in-picture mode, which is the 3D RTS's answer to the minimap. Obviously, with so much going on throughout the game, it's very, very difficult to keep tabs of what's going on. What this gives you is not only an overview map, you can actually zoom in and, as a player, control and completely manipulate everything within this window as you would in the main window, which effectively enables you to manage two planets at the same time. And I can see several players already making use of that feature on their screens. So I'm going to take this now and use it as an overview for the entire solar system now. So that will allow us to see, if you see any blips down here, that is things travelling between the planets of the solar system. And there are several very advantageous planets to take control of for both players, so I expect to see lots of movement between the layers throughout this game.
Over on the lava planet, we're about to see our very first engagement of the game.
Excellent.
Tanks versus bots.
Yes, we have tanks. Tanks are generally slower moving, more heavily armoured, harder hitting units. These bots tend to be much faster raiding units. In a 1v1 confrontation like this, the tanks will probably come out on top without a problem at all. And now you can see them here attacking these factories. The docks are coming in to try and do something about it, but they're, I think, going to be struggling. They're whittling down the numbers effectively here, and they're all gone, I'm afraid. There you go. They're going to continue probably producing these units and sending them across there to try and deal with this attack. Meanwhile, I'm sure Orange are producing more. Here they are indeed, and they'll be coming across very shortly to continue harassing that base. Now, on this planet, if I recall correctly, there were two orange commanders versus only the single blue commander, so they should have an advantage going forward. Although I can see a teleporter has in fact been built here. Teleporters of course can allow you to transition between the planets without having to send things via the orbital layer. I would imagine that could possibly have gone in, yes, it's gone across over here onto the moon. So they've got a direct connection now between the moon and the lava planet.
They're actually being very sneaky. They already have dropped off some units on the moon, and if you go look at the metal planet, they have a secondary gate they have established there to start building up the catalyst.
That's a very strong play there by the orange team. They're taking control of as many planets as they can. Just taking the gas giant, no players have landed on the gas giant as yet to tap that vast resource. Currently idle though on the metal planet. They really need to start kicking up some action, get themselves working, get these metal points under their control, and the control points here are ready and up for grabs if they so choose. So we can see a little bit of engagement now on PAX Prime on this water planet. These planes zipping over here, mostly fighters, not many bombers in amongst here. You can see a few bombers back here, but there's enough anti-air things here to keep those fighters well and truly at bay. The orange player does already have their advanced factory. That's a Stingray. That has got a significant amount of anti-air capabilities, but they've got just enough bombers to overwhelm it and overpower it and destroy it. They're now trying to pick off as many metal points as they can to deny that resource to the orange team, which is a very strong play indeed. Lots of factories, lots of air factories for the blue player. They're choosing to ignore the naval aspect entirely and focus everything they have on that highly mobile air force. And at the moment they are able to overwhelm most of Orange's anti-air defenses, so they are going to struggle a little bit here to maintain the foothold on this planet that they so desperately need.
So over on the lava planet, we're seeing our first T2 units, ground units specifically moving in, and it's only a couple of vanguards, but they are very strong, very slow, and can blast out giant groups of units in basically one hit.
And you're about to see what happens if you get too close to a vanguard. They have got these terrifically powerful uber cannon-like weapons. If these tanks get too close, they get blasted, and it one-hits most of them. 5 vanguards will do an awful lot of damage to the base here. They're rooting through, they're going to try and take out, and they're going to successfully take out Orange's attempt to get up to advanced vehicles. But Orange are struggling a bit here. It looks like they've abandoned this planet entirely. He's got a deactivated teleporter here. It looks like all of the Orange commanders on this planet have escaped to the other reaches of the solar system. And even this lava planet, this very, very metal-rich lava planet, entirely in the control of the blue team.
That said, Orange already has a huge presence everywhere else in the system already.
Well, exactly. They've made the decision to abandon the computational planet and go to some more tranquil places like this metal planet. The scaredy cats off.
So we are seeing Orange get built up a T2 on the metal planet, which is a very smart move, because if they're going to want to win that, they're going to need to own that entire planet as quickly as possible so they can start, basically blasting the other planets out of existence.
Absolutely. But there are a number of invasion options available to players. Obviously there's the teleporters, which you've already seen being used to transition around the solar system. Opposing forces can build teleporters on your planet and send through vast armies of units they've built up from elsewhere very, very quickly. And what's being pointed out here?
Oh, we're seeing some bots taking advantage of their amphibious nature.
The docks have the ability to go underwater. I don't believe they can actually fire whilst underwater. They've been zipping here, they've zipped past all these ships, and they've gone to attack what little land-based economy buildings Orange have here. They're slowly being whittled down, but they are able to do some damage. That's a battleship barrage. They have the Leviathan. Those docks will not stand up to that for too long. Let's see the barrage. Look at that. Very, very powerful barrage from the battleship there. The Air Force is still being built up over here. More docks being produced as well from blue. They're absolutely ignoring the naval option, for now at least. They're just trying to take control of what they can on the land. Orange, however, is able to take advantage of the vast amount of metal which is within the water, which blue cannot use unless they start building some naval. Orange continues to expand aggressively on the metal planet. I have a funny feeling that once they've got their advanced economy well and truly underway, at the moment you can see they're struggling significantly for energy. They are down to 30% of their build power. So they are building things at 1/3 of their usual speed. They are building advanced power generators now at this point, though, so they will start to boost that very, very quickly. That is the last of the orange presence removed from the lava planet. Blue have this entirely under their control. They've got these planes here on a global control, which is a very, very simple two-click command you can issue, and that just keeps the entire planet locked down. Still nothing on the gas giant as yet. Orange are building their presence on the moon. The only real source of land-based confrontation at the moment is here on the naval planet. We have another army of amphibious docks here moving under the water. You see them popping up here. And they're going to take out the storage and a couple of metal extractors to boot, I imagine. There's a commander, he's slightly exposed. He has the Uber cannon, which should be able to make fairly light work of these docks if he aims it correctly. We saw him accidentally fire one into the wreckage there. He needs to place that very well. The docks are attacking, unfortunately, the wreckage is next to the commander rather than the commander himself. I think that was a misclick there for the blue player. Look at them go.
To the east of that commander, we're also seeing a huge naval force by orange moving towards Blue's base.
We have actually just seen a commander destroyed by an air snipe. Very, very good play there for Blue. Lots of. Let's use the chronocam because I missed most of that because Mark was talking. I'm going to go back 30 seconds, which you can do in the live game as a player or a spectator to see anything you've missed. So we see these docks here about to get obliterated, as we just saw by the Uber cannon. And now, this huge air force by the blue players sweeping across. The fighter's taking the majority of the anti-air. The bomb is able to get in there, drop a huge payload. Boom! There he goes. One down. In the game of Planetary Annihilation, you must defend your commanders. If you lose all of your commanders, you lose the game. So the blue player is now, sorry, the orange player, I should say, is now down one. They have 2 commanders remaining. And we now see a naval force by orange. This includes some long-range vessels. This Leviathan can fire an awful long way. That can fire inland. This army is going to be absolutely decimated. There's lots of anti-air. These narwhals here have got strong anti-aircraft capabilities. They should be able to make fairly light work of this air force, he says, as they disappear one by one. It looks like the strong air presence is playing very, very well for Blue here. Orange are not able to cope with these numbers at all. Slow-moving ships are just being decimated before they can get anywhere near the shoreline to do some damage. It looks very much like Blue may take this planet in fairly short order.
Blue has also got their advanced air up running there as well, so that really provides a huge advantage when taking out those, as you said, very slow-moving boats.
Actually, the orange going to do something. However, all is not lost. They have the moon under their control, at least for now. I'm not seeing any movement by Blue in the orbital layer, so Blue seems to be content just to sit there with that single planet for now at least. I say single planet, obviously they've got both planets. Blue have now got control of PAX Prime and the lava, whereas Orange have got control of the moon and the laser. Strategically advantageous, I'd have said, for Orange, because they have control of 2 super weapons in this game. The gigantic interplanetary laser and the smashable moon.
We do have a giant army moving in on Blue from the South Pole, however.
I was just about to comment on that, yes. I'm not quite sure where they're going with this. It's a very, very large army, but if Orange have got enough of a force, and that's a ping, the Orange have in fact sighted this army. You can see these planes flying over here, the docks firing upwards frantically when they see a plane fly past. Look at that, that's absolutely devastating. So Orange are very acutely aware of the predicament they are now in. They do have significant, oh, I hadn't even noticed that. The economy advantage from Blue here. Blue have got more than 3 times the metal income of Orange at this point. They are able to produce units a lot faster. I would even hazard a guess, yes, Blue are starting to take advantage here on the gas giant of the vast resource potential here. They can build units called jigs, which extend arms down into the gaseous waters of the gas giant and extract resources. they will be able to pull even further ahead. They are almost 4 times ahead of Orange in their economy. Orange are not focusing very hard at all on the economy, which they need to be doing, because these super weapons, which they have control of, the Smashable Moon and the gigantic laser planet, both require significant investment of resources to get going. I'm not quite sure what Orange's tactics are here. They've got an awful lot of energy, but the metal is what really, really holding them back here. They just have not expanded at all. And expansion is absolutely crucial in this game. You need to have control of as many of these little green metal points as you can, and that is what is enabling Blue to have this humongous economic advantage. That just looks absolutely terrifying, doesn't it?
And Orange has also effectively lost their control of the Earth-like planet.
That they have, yes. This was where I think Orange were trying to focus the majority of their economic expansion, but their tactics versus the overwhelming air presence of Blue here just did not pay off for them. These gunships here will make very light work of those metal extractors when they're tasked to do so. There they go, you can see them going now. That will disappear in seconds. Single fighter there from Orange, desperately trying to shoot those down. In vain. That's Orange off here completely. So although they seem to have they move rather slowly through the moment simulation, I think this might be a few global patrols too many, possibly. And here we go, the Doc's wave, the Doc's tidal wave, sweeping across the metal planet here, soon to reach more of Orange's economic expansion, further setting them behind. And Orange really needs to step up their game here. They're putting up defensive turrets, they know what's coming. They've got, I would imagine, I'll just check here. I said I'll check here. I'll check it. Orange have not got radar coverage at the moment. It's because they are struggling for energy. As soon as the radar comes online, they can see this tidal wave of blobs on their radar heading straight for their base. They are panicking, throwing up defensive turrets where they can, but it's not going to be enough to deal with that humongous wave of bots. And they're just going to sweep through there and take out all of those metal extractors. In slow motion. There's a ping going down there. Not sure where they pinged. What Orange really needs to do here, I think they're going to lose control of that metal planet. What they really ought to be focusing on here is getting some Halleys up, these gigantic interplanetary thrusters on the side of the moon, so that they can launch this into any one of Blue's bases. At this point, I think the advantage of Blue is probably a little bit too great for Orange to recover, but they can at least give us a good show while they're at it. Yeah. We shall see. I'm not seeing a lot of movement in the orbital layer either at the moment for now. Blue continuing to bolster their economic advantage here with these jigs. There we go, now we see a nice little fight going on here between the forces of Orange and Blue. This massive Docs are crashing up against the defences. They put walls down to try and absorb some of the damage from these shots. It's not going to be enough. Things are going to explode left, right and centre here. The triple barrel laser turret doing its best. These bombers coming over to try and lay down some carpet damage, but these bots can shoot up at the air layer. These bombers are even being shot down before they can drop most of their payload. And they're just swarming through the gap there. Although that's actually Orange are holding up a lot better here than I thought they would. That laser turret is being taken down. There is still a significant force of Docs to come through here. All of these power generators are going to disappear. Although they shouldn't get too much further. These ants, I apologise, these bolos should be able to make fairly light work of the Docs once they get through. The commander, though, exposed, is using his Uber cannon to deal with the majority of them. And I think we just found out what was slowing down the ship. Now all the Docs are dead, things are back to normal speed. Excellent. But Orange, I mean, Blue have stabilised their foothold. They have advanced air factories, 3 of them. and they are producing T-2 bombers which are able to fire tactical missiles which can go beyond the effective range of most static anti-aircraft solutions available to Orange. So they're going to start tidying up the rest of this planet very soon, I think. Blue now has 4,500 metal per second compared to Orange's 500. A massive economic advantage here, and in a game of this scale, it's all about your economy. If you have a larger economy, you can build more units, and more units mean more death for your opponents. Blue here really need to go on the offensive. They've got the economy to do some really, really dastardly things to Orange if they so chose. They could be building some nukes. They could be building some teleporters to send through even more large armies to all their planets. They could even be, once they have control of this planet, they could even take control of these points here and activate the gigantic laser mounted to the North Pole of this planet. It remains to be seen what their method of destruction will be. Lots of pings. An incursion here by Blue. And that's one of the just looking at, in fact. And you've got these T-2 bombers, these long-range missiles, raining death and destruction beyond the effective range of pretty much anything Orange can throw at them. These defences, of course, cannot shoot into the air layer, so these bombers will make very light work of those. They are going to race through here, I think. The fighters take most of the anti-air away from the bombers, so the bombers can continue relatively unopposed. I'm not really seeing what Orange can do here. They're sending some units through the teleporter to try and defend against the air, but unfortunately there doesn't seem to be an awful lot of anti-air mixed in there, which they really desperately need right now. This is the second planet on which Blue have used overwhelming air superiority to defeat their opponents. They're just tearing through. That commander is exposed. These long-range tacticals are doing an awful lot of damage. He's going to disappear. There he goes. 2 down. 1 to go. Where is the last remaining Orange commander? I think
He's on the moon.
he's on the moon. There he is. This is the last remaining target for Blue. I'm going to check. They do not have any units here. They do not have any knowledge of what is on this planet. So for Blue at the moment, this is a hunt for the last commander. I wish them Godspeed. We've got more dots here streaming into a teleporter. I think that's just going to mop up the last of Orange's presence on that laser planet, the metal planet. Close enough. Let's see if we can find where they came out.
Just right below their base. There's a gate going.
That'll be it. That's it there. That's where that huge swarm of dots is coming through. That's just going to swing. We have some vanguards here. If the dots get too close, of course, they get blasted in the face by that gigantic blue laser. So they need to try and keep their distance from these as much as possible. But they are fast, they are manoeuvrable. They can effectively fight those units and stay out of their range and murder them from a distance. But Orange just have no way of dealing with this massive air force here for Blue. Teleporters going down. There's no escape. Everything on this planet is doomed.
We are on the moon, however, seeing our first alias going on.
Are we?
I don't know that they'll be able to pull off a Hail Mary, but they may at least be able to get a little bit of a revenge going on.
Yes, I think so. That said,
Possibly not.
Blue have just brought in a massive wave of orbital fighters here to try and clear the space above the planet's surface for them to launch a full-scale invasion. More arriving, you can see, streaming past me here. That's a lot of fighters, and I would imagine if I just zoom out and look at that, all of those fighters there, streaming straight through the orbital layer. I don't see any fabricators in there. If they had sent an orbital fabricator down, all they need to do is build a single teleporter on the surface of that planet, and I think that might be the end for Orange. Orange are desperately trying to get the Halleys up. They just don't have the economy for it. Blue have got 8,000 metal income per second. Orange short of 1. We have some umbrellas going up now, but later they've seen what's going on in the skies above their planet. Look at that. They're putting up some umbrellas to try and defend against it, but that's going to be, I think, an exercise in futility. We'll see. There is not a lot in there for Blue, means by which they can attack from the orbital layer onto the ground. It could include SXX orbital lasers in that little armada of theirs. Or, as I said, an orbital fabricator or two would enable them to have a presence on the ground immediately. And here come the orbital fighters over the surface, which this umbrella here, which is an anti-orbital laser which fires from the ground into the skies, should be able to counter if they make their way over that side of the planet. At the moment they seem to be sort of holding their ground over here and just establishing dominance on this side of the planet. More arriving all the time. Here comes an orbital fabricator. It's just landed. Let's see what they do with it. I can't even see it. There's so much going on here. There it is. Let's see what they do with this. I would imagine that they are going to plonk down the teleporter, and we're going to see a similar treatment to this moon that we just saw on the metal planet, where the docks just stream through the teleporter and destroy everything in their path. Orange, however, quick to react. They have an army of bombers here, which I think there's plenty there to take out a teleporter in a single pass. So I think before they build a teleporter, they're going to need to build, there it is, an anchor. The anchor can shoot down from the orbital layer, down onto the ground, and into the air layer as well. So that'll be able to eradicate all of those bombers if they don't move in time. And we have some more orbital fabricators arriving now. I've just held down shift here so you can see the Q command of the blue player. The blue player has in fact got an area command here, which they've dragged across, and they've instructed their fabricators to build all of these anchors here you can see there in the ghost above. So they're going to take control of this part of the planet all for themselves, and I think shortly thereafter we're going to see a teleporter or two.
I think the true end game that Blue is going for here is on the metal planet. They've already taken out most of Orange's base, and in the meantime they're starting to build up the first of 5 catalysts.
Excellent, I'll just show that to you guys on my screen. This is a catalyst. This is the building which enables you to activate this gigantic ring of lasers here. And this can shoot straight through the solar system and annihilate any of the planets you see here.
And they have a huge number of fabricators dedicated basically to that task alone, and they certainly have the economy for it.
Yes, they do. That's a hell of an economy. 1 down, 4 to go. And that's going to be done within 2 or 3 minutes, in fact. The build speed that they have on that is incredible. These are incredibly expensive structures. Everything in Planetary Annihilation is constructed with metal. They've got 9,000 metal per second streaming into their coffers. And these things are using the energy to convert it across into these fantastic, wonderful units of death. Orange slowly losing more and more economy. And you can see that they're down to 50% efficiency. Their economy is so bad, they are already building at half of their desired speed. And they're going to continue losing more and more energy, and it's going to, unfortunately, slowly unravel.
So, interesting, however, we do have the final Haley completed. So.
Now, interesting, we saw in a previous game, the players that had control of the moon used the moon, and there they are, they have been activated. The moon is in orbit. Where's it going? That's going for the lava planet of all planets. In a previous game we had seen the moon actually went into the metal planet and deactivated the laser permanently by destroying several of the control points. I think in this particular case we are about to witness retribution and indeed Planetary Annihilation, the name of the game. Goodbye, Irene.
Yeah. They're Doctor Strange loving their commander on in.
bravely. It wasn't enough, unfortunately. There are still blue commanders remaining. Therefore, blue wins the game. Congratulations, Team Blue, for a fantastic victory there. I think we will be back shortly with another game.
We will indeed.
Don't go anywhere, please.